everybody. Welcome to my show, Life as I See It, with your talk show hostess, Dena Nierenberg. And with me I have today Rachel Siegel, a returning guest and an amazing woman. And we've been talking a lot before we started taping the show, all about education back in Russia. And so I've been talking a little bit about education here in America and how it's definitely a great big divide in how it's been done. And so, let's get started. Hi, Rachel. How are you?
Hi, how are you, Dena?
Fine.
It's so great to touch up on different areas, what's going on in America, what happened in Russia, and how life is a circle, everything goes around and comes around. I came here from Russia, and sometimes I feel I'm back in Russia, so
Yes.
But when I came to America, I was like, wow, I'm in a free country, freedom of speech, freedom of action, freedom of choices, something I never had in Russia. And what I mean by that is, when you go to school at age 6, okay, everybody have a place where they sit, the teacher sits everybody in science sit for the whole year, and the same teacher will be for 8 years. It's not like in America, it's like, they have
A different teacher every year.
Right.
So if you weren't getting along so well with your teachers of this year, you can hope and pray that for next year your teachers will be different.
Right, so in Russia it was 1 year for 8 years. If the school was 8 years, for 8 years.
That
if the
sucks.
school was 10 years, would be the same teacher for 10 years. Sometimes you get tired of it.
That's terrible.
Like you said, if you don't get along, it's nice to have a change.
Yeah.
And what's interesting was about teachers in Russia. If the teacher was inappropriate, and it means if she was the worst, she would be fired. She had to be a right example. She was supposed to be married and have a good marriage. And they'll find something out in a teacher, she can't be a teacher anymore. So teachers did not have privacy.
None.
And in America,
There's a lot more privacy, let's put it that way. It's privacy to a fault almost, to the point where you can't even get out information about yourself. You call and you say, I'll never forget when I gave birth to my first child. I had a C-section, and I was basically debilitated upstairs on the 3rd floor, and my daughter was in the NICU, and I was only 21 years old, and I was not in a position because they kept me high on drugs. They kept on shooting up my butt with some Percodone or something like that. And my mother said, listen, I'm the only responsible grown-up here. Can I find out what's going on with my granddaughter? And they're like, but you're not the parent, so we can't tell you. And I'm like, what kind of an answer is that? My mother said, it's like, but my daughter is not in a position right now, literally available to be able to go downstairs and see her own child. And they just refused to give any information. That was 27 years ago, and they're still like that. And they're even worse than that. You cannot get any private information. You tell them, you swear to them, but I'm Dena Nierenberg. Can I please at least have my own files? Or you have to fill out some forms, then we have to get them okayed, and then we'll send you your files. By the time they convince you to do all that, you don't want your files anymore. You're like, I'll live without them, thanks.
Well, it's interesting. I had all my 3 children gave birth here with midwives, and I had a beautiful experience. And what I heard in Russia as my mother and other mothers, it's not a pleasant experience of giving birth because they don't give you no painkillers. Everything is naturally done. And if somebody even has an abortion, there's no painkillers.
I wonder why. They want everybody to feel the same amount of pain.
It's socialism, so it's equal.
It's equal. We can equally feel the pain. How else can we explain it?
Yes, that's how it was as a mother, and then when the child went to school, parents were kind of, in a way, was very controlled by the school system and society. Let's say if the child didn't do well in school, they would call the principal. The teacher will call the principal will call the parents' manager or director, whoever's in charge, and tell them, you know what, your child, Peter Ivanov or something, and saying saying, you know what, he's not behaving well, he's not doing well in school, he's not doing his homework, or he's disturbing the class, you have to do something about it. You know, so parents would be embarrassed, and you know, then they come home and there's a punishment, behaviors would start, and in Russia it wasn't a big deal. They gave them behind. You know, it was acceptable. You know, the children was punished by their parents, you know, and parents would give them a hard time, you know, and the children would be so terrified, you know, when they would go to school, they'll be afraid, you know, and when the students will talk to the teacher, you weren't allowed to look in the teacher's eye. The teacher will say, how dare you? You have to look down. Yes, that was, you know, that was a culture that you can't look straight in the eye. It means you're being disrespectful. You have to look down. And I just like, wow, you know, not here. I mean, I came to this country and I went to school and I talked to the teacher and they're like my best friends, you know, and they talk to me and give me a hug, and if you need anything, there's like whole...
I had no idea on that.
Yes, such a boundaries and everything. And, you know, when we had like any test, after the test, you know, the teacher will give a grade. So all the 25 children will be sitting in the classroom in their seats, and the teacher will open the book and she'll start saying, Anna got 100, Peter got 80, Sasha got 70, Natasha got 65, you know.
It's getting harsh.
Yeah, and it's like they're really in front of all the children knew each other grades.
Oh my God.
Everybody. And it was really, if somebody wasn't doing well, it was so uncomfortable.
Do they tease each other? Oh,
yeah, sure.
You got a 40.
They will
You're done.
And the kids will, you know, they would be divided as groups, as
Between the
friendship.
brainies, the mediums, and the dummies.
Right, exactly, and not for anything. And then in the hallway, you know, anybody from any classroom will see a big board, and the board will say in this classroom who was, you know, a good student, who was medium student, who was a bad student, and it would be published, so everybody knew.
Wow.
Everybody knew.
That's scary.
You know, that wasn't the best thing. I never liked that as a child. You know, but there was good things though. What I enjoyed, wonderful things is we had all the activities. Winter time, we had skiing, ice skating, sports. It was part of the curriculum. Music class.
School curriculum.
Yeah, it was part of the school curriculum. Winter time, we would go skiing, like across country. There wasn't cross country, but because, you know, we were able to do that. Or ice skating, and we'll go ice skating, play ball, summertime, you know, and all different activities, like gymnastics. It was a lot of really wonderful things, you know, so that was really great. And music teaching, that we had dances, you know, and you know, and it was really production of musical production or drama production. It was beautiful. It was beautiful, you know. But the way they treated children when it came to their grades, for them not to have any privacy, and that truly was taking the child confidence
away
and self-esteem, you know, and to be proud of himself. I mean, if the child was doing well, the child felt proud, but the one who didn't, it
The one
really...
who couldn't. You know, not all kids are born with the same IQ. There are some kids that no matter how hard they try, they'll never be able to get better than 70, 75, if they're lucky. Some kids barely even pass. But then again, there are different kinds of smarts. There's also the emotional intelligence.
Right.
But I guess that they did not take that into you know, view. That's sad.
Yeah, like reading classes, you know, with reading classes, like they would say every few months, they will time the child while he's reading and count how many words a minute. And then everybody knew who reads fast and who reads slow.
Really?
You know, what about in America? How is it?
In America, it's actually dependent on the teacher, because you could get an amazing teacher who encouraged your reading and who was always telling you were doing an amazing job, even if you read like as slow as a snail. They loved you anyway. And then there were the teachers who were like, hurry up, can't you do this? It's like, it really was like kind of case-by-case basis. And this even holds true in America today. There are teachers who are incredible, like completely gifts from God, and they're just so sweet and so kind. And they know that they have children of different intelligence levels, children of different emotions emotional situations, because some kids are more emotional than others.
Right.
For some children, their emotions get in the way of their being able to do well in school. And there are teachers who are very, very sensitive to that, and they recognize that you have to care not just about how the child is doing, but also you have to put so much attention toward how they're feeling emotionally, what they're actually capable of, because, on many children there is a limit when it comes to their schoolwork, what they're actually capable of. I don't believe that everybody who tries can go through the roof and get A's. I just don't believe that, It's like I've seen too many children really put it all and not get there, but at the same time, you have to also encourage every other area of their life. So you're not doing great in school, however, you're an amazing pianist, you're an amazing dancer, you're an amazing artist, I like how you deal with other people, your social skills are incredible, you have better social skills than, say, your friend who gets hundreds in everything, so it's kind of like God gives everybody their presence, their gift.
Exactly.
Everybody gets gifts, and so there are teachers who recognize that and say, okay, so fine, Mama, you're not doing so great in your math, you're not doing so great in reading, social studies. However, I have noticed that you're awesome at gym. I have noticed that you have your characteristic traits when you're dealing with your friends are, wow, amazing.
Yes, for sure.
Encourage everything.
It's interesting is that parent-teacher conferences, how different they are from American and Russian. I was a teacher for 25 years in the classroom with young children, 3 to 5. And whenever I had a parent-teacher conference, I would always talk to the parent about all the quality of a child, how well he's doing, and then I will talk about something that it would be nice for them to work on. Well, what a difference. And in Russia, when there's a parent-teacher conference, if there's 25 children, parents will come and sit in their children's seats. And the teacher will stand in front, open the book, and she would start saying, well, Anna is doing blah, 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 blah. Alex is doing blah, 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 blah. And she will discuss the child progress and the child downsides in front of all the parents. So all the parents knew about every child, how the child is doing. And, children who do well, parents felt great, I'm so proud, and then that's really affected the people's relationship, even as adults. It's like, and then some parents felt embarrassed, it's not their fault. Some children are faster, some children are slower. Some children, it's like flowers. You water them and they bloom when they're ready. So children like flowers, they bloom when they're ready. They're bloomers. Yeah, you can't just say, you're not doing well. Yes, you have to give it time. You have to be patient. Give compliments, rewards to the child. And that's American way, right? What did you experience with your children when they went to school? When you went to parent-teacher conference?
I was very, very lucky with my children's teachers. I must say, we had 99% of the teachers were absolutely incredible. 1% were lemons, but we dealt with the lemons. But let's talk about the 99%.
Right.
First of all, PTA was a very, very private thing. Literally, parent and teacher, and that was it. In the private classroom, nobody else allowed her. Get the hell out of here! It's our turn. Come back in 7 minutes when it's your turn. But here in America, there's very, very much privacy. Like we were saying before, maybe too much privacy. But during parent-teachers meeting, privacy, and the teacher would say something pleasant, which he or she would always start with something very pleasant and something nice, and then kind of sort of segue into, what we might like for your child to work on now.
Right.
And there was compassion. Like I said before, with my children, 99% of the teachers were really, really all that, and as good as I'm saying, and just dealing with them was a pleasure and a joy, and you could even tell that they wanted the best for your children. They weren't just like these burnt out old hags. They really, really meant well. They wanted to see your child succeed and thrive. And so, sometimes, especially these days when I'm in my 40s, I'm I have to listen to, a teacher say what they think my child could do a little bit better, and you're part of me is well, hello, I'm twice your age. And the next part of me is like, but I can feel it. I can see that this teacher really, really means well.
Right, yeah.
They want the best for my child. So I say, kudos to you, and that you did it so nicely and so well spoken to me, and with the respect that I think that a 26-year-old should be giving a 48-year-old. I like that. I say, to you, all the honor.
Right.
It is different here. It is different here. And like I was saying before, you could get your 11s. You could get teachers who just awful.
Right.
Like really, really the worst of the worst.
Sure.
But that can be in any situation. You could be on the job and have like a horrible coworker. You could have, God forbid, a horrible boss,
Right. You see, as a child in Russia, I felt so little. I didn't feel respected. I did not get acknowledgement. I did not get rewards. And I don't think it was just me. I mean, that's what I felt. If you would ask other children who's from Russia, adults, who were kids before, everybody will have their own experience. But I did not feel that. It just, nothing was encouraged to make you feel better or anything. But I do what I liked, that we would have to learn the poems, and then you have to tell the poem in front of the whole class. So this is something nobody could have controlled, because if you know your poem and you said it in front of your class, then they can't control it, they can't give you a grade on it. Also, like, we had dictations. I think that was really a wonderful thing, this way we work on spelling, they dictate and we write, and then they'll correct, so that was interesting. Developing the language, expressionizing yourself, memory, that was really nice, I mean, there's things that I really liked about the school in Russia, especially sports activities. Wow, I loved it, and I was good at that, so I really enjoyed it very much. But as a parent, I never been a parent there. For my mom, whenever she would go to school, she would be very tense, because she would always get those kind of reports, and once actually she came home and she asked me, she told me, oh, the teacher told me that, and I was like, I don't know, I was maybe 11-year-old or something. And she said, the teacher said that you've been going out with this boy and you're going to bring a child. I said, what? And I didn't date anybody. I wasn't dating anybody. I was a pretty girl, and the boys, how boys are, and the teacher would make their own assumption, and tell parents stuff that parents will start worried. They like to make that drama, with
the teachers, they were bored. Yes. Teachers are bored.
So I unfortunately, I didn't have a favorite teacher. And
it seems like it would be hard to have a favorite.
I didn't have a favorite teacher, but it's interesting enough that in America, when I was deciding to choose my profession, I wanted to be computer science, I wanted to be a nurse, and then when my daughter was born and I was in a nursing program, I realized I want to be a teacher. And I had my opportunity to relieve and fulfill my missing respect, and I gave that respect to the children, and I loved the children, and they loved me, and I was favorite teacher to a lot of children.
Nice.
So I had done something for other children that I didn't get.
So it comes full circle.
Yes, so they do say, on our weaknesses we choose our profession, and we do something to build things up and be able to help other people with something we struggle, how to get to deal with it better, and actually this is what you do in your show and what you're doing for people, it's wonderful. So talking about the school again, so there was a program 8 years old and 10 years, and for 10 years, I mean, not old, I'm sorry, 8 years schooling and 10 years schooling. Only children who had good grades were able to go for 10 years in school. If you didn't have such a good grades, you had to graduate in an 8th grade.
No way. And then no high school for you?
So then they would just go like I would say probably associate college or something on lower stand.
Like
they cannot go to, no, not even college. They would go like programs to get a profession. But children who graduated 10th grade, they would go to colleges, and higher professions,
wow.
They would have an opportunity. So they would not give children an opportunity, maybe when they got more mature and they got more focused.
And hear more about their grades also.
Grades, and they felt like they could do it and they're really learning more and they could and they want to do it and they did not give them an opportunity to have a chance to do better.
Wow, that's a shame because I first became a serious student in 10th grade.
You see?
But if I were in Russia, going to school in Russia, they would have totally cut me off after 8th grade, saying, hey, we can see that you care about some things, but then there are some things you just let yourself fail at, so you're not a serious student. But I became serious in the middle of 10th grade. I was just so sick and tired of disappointing my parents again and again.
Right, yeah.
That I said, this is it, I'm buckling down, I'm getting crazy serious. And I've been a lot like that since I'm 15 years old. And it's been quite some time since then. But because I got super serious, I was able then to go to Touro College, get my undergraduate in psychology, and then go on to grad school and get my graduate degree in industrial psych. And then I decided to become a professor. Like you became a teacher, I became a professor. Why did I become a professor? Well, for the same reasons why you became a teacher. Me growing up, I had some teachers who were incredible, but I had an equal, if not more, amount of teachers who were really the pits. And I said, if I ever, become a professor, I'm going to take my job so seriously. And I don't just mean teaching as much as I possibly can in any given day, but I'm going to treat those students in a way that I wish if I had been shown growing up, and that was me growing up. Here you're already dealing with 18, 20-year-olds. Do they need the same amount of compassion as, say, the poor 6, 7-year-olds? They really do. You wouldn't think that they do what they do. Everybody needs an equal amount of compassion and love.
Absolutely.
And that's one of the gifts I got out of becoming a professor. It's nice to pull a paycheck and all that, but I have been able to heal myself knowing that I am giving my students the same type, a type of an educational treatment that was not given to me, that I would have loved for myself. I would have loved a lot of love, a lot of compassion, the teachers understanding that, hey, you may be having a day where you're more emotional, a day where you're just not with it, or even that you needed the day off.
And it helps you with your self-esteem.
And it helps me to bolster my own self-esteem, knowing that I'm giving something to the world.
Exactly.
Where there was like a part of my life that felt so blank and so empty growing up in the educational system, where I would have loved love and understanding from the teachers, and simply did not get it. Now I'm glad that I can give back what I did not receive myself, and that's how you make yourself whole, right? That's how you make yourself feel whole and healed. That's how you get healed. You get healed by giving what you wish if you would have gotten.
Right, but you see, in Russia, everything was in a way equalized because it's a social way of socialism school. Like everybody knows about each other grades. All the parents know about every family the child is doing. Even at work, everybody knows how your child is doing. Everybody knows. There's no privacy whatsoever. And it's like really we're it's like really being. I can't even express it. Just
it hurts.
Yes, it hurts. It does hurt. It's like what do you really say? It's like being in jail.
Yeah.
It's like not having freedom of thinking, freedom of speech, freedom of making decisions. Everything was decided for you. You weren't given opportunity. If you could improve your grades, if you could do better and you want to go to higher education, it was decided, okay, with your grades you could go to this kind of level education. With this grades you could go higher education. And then when people even got jobs, it's interesting, as I'll never forget, like if you're a doctor or you work for sanitation, the same paycheck.
No.
Yes.
Wow. Okay,
everything is equal.
Wow.
People were divided intellectually, who's smart and who's not smart. So even when people start dating or have family, it's like already, I won't go out with this one, I'll go out with another one.
Because everybody knew who was smart.
Yes, so it just was really, it just did not give people opportunity to really have the self-esteem. So they equalized everything, and that's how people were divided.
Yeah, and that's
and they don't do that in America.
Yeah, well, now in America we have some pretty big problems.
Right, but when even somebody didn't graduate high school, they could get GED later.
You could, later on in Toro you could get your GED and then go on to Toro. You could definitely do that, and that was a really, really amazing thing. But everything you're talking about now about the lack of freedom of speech, the lack of freedom actually reminds me of a lot of what's going on in America today. I mean, today in America, you're almost like afraid to speak your mind. It's like the leftist liberals make you believe, like, you said that, but how could you say that? That was the wrong thing to say. And because you said that, boo, you hurt our feelings. How could you hurt our feelings?
When I was a child in school, I was never felt comfortable to express myself because I would be punished.
Right, but growing up, at least in America, like if you had a normal teacher, you could feel like you could say your piece. But now, when you're, let's say, out and about and you're, let's say, in a big crowd, if you start saying things like, I feel like everybody should have to pay their rent, or I feel like everybody here should have to pull their weight, it's like you'll have people like turning and staring like, what did you say? What did you mean? It's like, how could you feel like that is an okay thing to say? When, we have to be equal here. Equal rights, equal freedoms, and everybody gets the exact same thing.
Right,
and that sounds so much like
like you're saying equal, and that's how it was. Everything was equal. And they would say communism, you could go to the store and get free toys, you could get everything for free. As a child, I really believed, and I liked that way. I said, wow, I like it, and I really believed if somebody would have told me it's not going to be like that, I would never believe that. I would never believe that, and it just, and look what's happening. So everything is equal, everything is okay. So as a child, when my parents decided to leave the country, and we were planning to go through immigration, I did not want to leave Russia. I was scared. I was brainwashed. Going to America, you get raped, you get killed on trains. They beat people up. I was afraid. I believed them. I believed the media as a child because I didn't know any different. So I believed what they said, everything. And it doesn't matter what my parents were saying. My parents knew more than that. They knew what was right, but they couldn't say anything to me because if they would be in trouble.
The media is a very, very scary thing because now the media tries to make you believe this and that, tries to make you believe that, let's say, landlords are mean, tries to make you believe that your boss is mean and everybody's mean. Why are they mean? Because you're not getting exactly what you want exactly when you want it.
Right.
But that's where hard work comes in.
Dena, what about the school? What's happening in school right now?
They're treating everybody as such that it's maybe too much freedom. Way too much freedom. But with all that freedom comes a type of a socialism kind of thing.
They're taking history away. Mm-hmm. They're taking history away so people would not know and would not be able to compare and use their brains to decide what's right for them. They're taking history away.
They already took religion away. That's a scary thing. Religion was here. We're saying here. And they took it out of schools here over the past, very, very gradually over like the past 60 years. They've been taking it out of schools, which is crazy because they used to have it in school. So it's kind of sort of scary that, let's say, in public school, they are taught, you have to treat everybody the same, you have to be equal, everything like that. But like you take it outside the public school system, and somehow people who want to practice their religion differently and don't want to practice, let's say, in the public school system, they're the ones who are being discriminated against.
Oh, but you know what? Everything is equal to the point that when the new children sign into the school system, there is no boy and girl. It's like you could be a girl today, and tomorrow you're going to be a boy.
They do that these days, yeah. So, ladies and gentlemen, this is Life as I See It with your talk show hostess, Dena Nierenberg, and my friends here, Raquel Siegel. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you, Dena. It was really a wonderful discussion, and you bring beautiful subjects to talk about it, and we grateful to Dena for it continue and on, so she could explore more interesting stories for you. Thank you, Dena, very much. I really appreciate you having me here.
Oh, my pleasure. Anytime. You're really a great co-hostess. This is always a great time. It's always fun. Thank you so much for joining us,
Thank you,
everyone.
everybody.